What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, it is said now that, or it's being said, it's being spreaded, it's being speculated that former unified three-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, in Errol the Truth Spence Jr. Errol the Truth Spence Jr. is now 28 wins, 1 loss, no draws. Okay? He is 22 big wins by way of knockout. Okay? Errol Spence Jr. is 33 years of age. Okay? Stands at 5'9" with a 72-inch arm reach. Errol Spence Jr. suffered the first loss of his career. July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. Errol Spence got dominated in that fight. Shockingly. Wait one moment. He got dominated in the fight. Shockingly. We didn't expect to see Errol Spence look like that. We just didn't. Okay? And nonetheless, that's how he looked. Right? And that was the biggest fight of his career. The most lucrative fight of his career. And it was against his biggest rivalry in now undefeated 3-division world champion, 2-division undisputed world champion, and the reigning unified welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely acknowledged and recognized as the #1 pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, in Terrence Bud Crawford. Errol Spence got dropped in the 2nd round, twice in the 7th round, then stopped in the 9th. But he got battered in the fight. We grown accustomed to seeing Errol Spence doing all the damage, not receiving all the damage, right? And in this fight, shockingly, Errol Spence, he received all the damage. In a fight that was seen to be a 50-50 fight if there ever were one on paper, okay? Errol Spence, prior to that, just over the history of Errol Spence Jr., okay, he unified the belts September of 2019. After unifying the belts, just 2 weeks later, 10 days later, Errol Spence suffered a horrific car accident where his white Lamborghini went tumbling down the street and he was thrown out the Lamborghini, and we didn't even know what to expect from Errol Spence physically, and he didn't even know what to expect from himself. Now, he is very strong-minded, very strong-willed, and so Errol Spence is demanding of himself, right? And so he came back strong, right? We heard, we speculated, we heard he had his mouth had to be reconstructed. He had to have skin graft. He had, injuries to his eyes, so on and so forth, right? And turns out he did suffer a lot of injuries, okay? And so Errol Spence was out the ring for 14 months. 14 months Errol Spence was out the ring for 14 months, right? And so Errol Spence came back December 5th of 2020, took on Danny Swift Garcia, 2-division world champion, Puerto Rican superstar boxer, and dominated Danny Garcia, right? His first fight back. Errol Spence motto, I don't do tune-ups. It's strap season. Big fights and big fights only, okay? So I don't do tune-ups. So he didn't do a tune-up, right? And then Errol Spence was heading into the most lucrative fight of his career, August 21st, 2021. He was set to take on 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer, the legend, the icon, the future Hall of Famer, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Then suddenly, 2 weeks before the fight, Errol Spence suffered a broken or detached retina that saw him have to pull out the fight. Yordenis Ugas, Cuban superstar, WBA world champion, or Cuban star boxer, filled in for Errol Spence. So he lost out on that big legacy fight. Yordenis Ugas ended up beating Manny Pacquiao, dominating him, and officially becoming the WBA champion. Errol Spence was on the shelf for another year. He came back April 16th, Dallas, Texas, AT&T, Cowboy Stadium. he took on your Dana Sugas in a unification bout. Okay, he dominated your Dana Sugas in 2022, broke his ribs, nose, and orbital bone, stopped him in the 10th round, right, and became the three belt world champion. Okay, so he dominated Ugas. Then Errol Spence was out the ring for an extensive period of time. Once again, he didn't come back into the ring. Now that was April 16th for 2022. He didn't come back into the ring till July 29th, 2023, when he took on Terrence Crawford. And that's when things seemed to take a turn left. At that point, he got shockingly dominated by Terrence Crawford and stopped. Now, Errol Spence announced that going into the ring, right, he had cataracts that was preventing him and hindering his vision. He had a broken rib going into the fight. He felt weight drain, obviously, fighting at 147. He's been telling the world he's not comfortable doing that. He only sticking around for the Terrence Crawford fight. And so Errol Spence has put his body through a whole lot. He's demanded a lot of his body physically. And so with that said, yesterday, Errol Spence put on his social media the peace sign, right? And immediately, because of his history and because of all the things he's been through recently, immediately everybody speculated Errol Spence just retired. He just called it quits. He said he's walking away. He just indicated he's walking away. No, that's not what he indicated. Sorry, people. Sorry to bust your bubble. That's not what he was indicating. Because people didn't read the thread. They didn't read the thread. Errol Spence, Queens of the Ring, and Jamel Herring, former world champion, was having a soft spat. Jamel Herring, former world champion. Errol Spence is now a promoter, if you didn't know. He's Man Down Promotions. He promotes undefeated lightweight star title contender Frank the Ghost Martin. Okay? And Errol Spence, Frank Martin is a title contender. He's on the verge of superstardom. And Errol Spence promotes him. Jamel Herring is now a manager and a trainer and a fighter, right? A former world champion. And Jamel Herring was featured on the Queens of the Ring. Shouts out to Bassiana the Menace. Shouts out to Nick J. Y'all already know the vanilla and chocolate drops, right? Queens of the Ring. Go subscribe to Queens of the Ring, right? And they interviewed Jamel Herring, and he said he wanted to work with Frank Martin, right? So when he said he wanted to work with Frank Martin, the Queens of the Ring have a close relationship with Frank Martin, who is 18 wins, no loss, no draw, 12 wins by way of knockout, 29 years of age, 5'8" with a 68-inch arm reach, and is a southpaw, athletic, explosive, high ring IQ, right? They have a close relationship with Frank the Ghost Martin. So they said to Jamel Herring, we'll reach out. To which Errol Spence immediately responded and put the thumbs down emoji. To which Jamel Herring said to Errol Spence, don't be mad at Queens of the Ring. I just asked them and indicated that I wanted to work with Frank Martin. Nothing, it's not a problem. And Errol Spence responded and said, don't take it personal. Stop being emotional. The thumbs down was to you working with Frank Martin. And Jamel Herring responded and said, I'm not being emotional. I'm just saying that I would like to work with Frank the Ghost Martin. It's not a problem if you don't want me to work with him, but don't blame the Queens of the Ring. And the Queens of the Ring, they took it as a shot at them, right? As a slight at them. And they said, we always we always getting caught in the crosshairs, right? We just trying to make a friendly gesture and, bridge a gap between Jamel Herring and Frank Martin. He just wants to work with him. And Errol Spence just essentially just threw up the peace sign like, I'm not going to go back and forth with you guys. Period. End of discussion. So people took it as if Errol Spence was retiring. Like he was saying, see you later, peace. That's not what he was saying. He was saying, see you later, peace, but to Jamel Herring and the Queens of the Ring, because he's not going to have the conversation. Period. So guess what, people? Errol the Truth Spence Jr. is not retiring. Period. So let's see what's next for the truth, Errol Spence. And that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Oh, and the rematch between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, it seems to be shelved. Seems to be non-existent, like it's not going to happen. So with that said, let's see what's next for Errol the Truth Spence Jr. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. That's all I got for y'all. I'm gone. Peace.